Okay. I'm looking out just to see if I recognize anybody that I ran past in the mall this morning. If you saw me, I was the very slow one, gasping for air. Anyway, but I was out there. So two things. First, thank you to our sponsors. So absorb their names. I don't need to read them for you. I want to take a moment to supplement them with one inadvertent omission. And that's Larry Thompson, who's here with us. Larry, among his many professional accomplishments, was the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Georgia back in 19... and then after that was the Deputy Attorney General of the United States. For those of you who don't understand what that means, he was basically the number 2 person in the Justice Department. But again, as people might understand, he was the guy that really was running the Justice Department. Larry, I don't know if you remember this, but I was the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York during the beginning of your tenure. Great example of the Peter Principle. You overruled me on a case of mine. I don't have any grudges. I remember the case, I remember the judge, I remember the prosecutor, I remember the defense lawyer, I remember what you said, I remember how the case came out, but I don't have any grudges, okay? Like Dr. Capuya said yesterday, I'm showing you all the love that I can give you. But seriously, Larry has been a great friend and supporter both of the Olive Institute for over a decade and more recently for the Center for Justice and Human Dignity, on whose board we both serve, and just thrilled that he is serving in those capacities, that he's with us here today with his wife, Brenda. So a warm welcome to Larry Thompson. Second thing, so the Olive Institute, a co-sponsor of this summit, has worked side by side with the Center for Justice and Human Dignity on alternatives to incarceration. I wanted to take a moment to talk about another initiative that it has worked on lately. A couple of years ago, they worked on what I guess I would call alternatives to execution. Let me take a moment to talk about that. In August of 2021, after the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan, Olive became aware that there were over 200 female judges in Afghanistan and their families who were in hiding, often in terrible conditions, due to death threats that some of them had received from the Taliban, including from defendants whom they had sentenced to prison. Some of these people were now out, threatening revenge against the judges who had put them in prison. And Olive, along with a number of groups, the International Association of Women Judges, the International Association of Prosecutors, the Association of Prosecuting Attorneys, the Raoul Wallenberg Center for Human Rights, the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, and the Jewish Humanitarian Response, JHR, worked to rescue people from this horrible situation, including judges and their families, prosecutors and their families, victims of a school bombing, and other threatened Afghan residents. And working very hard, they coordinated the evacuations for 1,500 people, provided safe shelter for over 500 people, bought food, medicine, and other essentials for over 800 people, negotiated with foreign governments around the world to secure airplane landing rights and interim housing for Afghan refugees, and actually chartered 2 planes and helped fund the chartering of a third to airlift Afghan refugees out of the country. All told, over $2 million was raised in support of this extraordinary humanitarian relief effort. If you want to learn more about it, you go to www.jhr.ngo.